action this week is what we were told, Jules, so we'll see if he ever gets in the game here today.
Here we go.
Callahan winning the faceoff.
Mike, as Hopkins starts to get settled in here, it's going to be really important that they take care of the ball. They cannot afford to have uncaused turnovers and wasted possessions, and they need to shoot smart. Caleb takes up a ton of the cage. They have to put themselves offensively in spots where they're earning high percentage shooting opportunities.
There's only been one game this season where Fyock has given up double-digit goals, and that was against your former team in Rutgers. Other than that, he has been outstanding, under 7 goals a game given up on average this season. Chuck Rawson's got it for Johns Hopkins. They swing it around, and a shot on the wing, and a save from Fyock, that time from Matt Collison.
Great take from Collison. They allowed themselves to get deep into the possession there. Quality opportunity, just have to get a little bit more pop on that shot. Otherwise, that was great first possession by Hopkins.
Ohio State now with their first opportunity on offense here today. Garrett Haas controlling. What about this Buckeyes team, right? They've got their 12th game of the season here today. In the previous 11, they've scored at least 13 goals in 9 of those 11 games.
Yeah, they're so balanced offensively. They have the #1 scoring offense right now in the Big Ten. They do a tremendous job of getting everyone involved. It's a by-committee offense. Today, they're going to have to manage Hopkins' slides. Don't let them speed Ohio State up any faster than they want to go.
Jack McKenna on the shot, and closest to it there was Haas, and Ohio State retains possession. Into the middle, shot again over the top of the cage from Ben Mayer. Now it's McKenna. Turns, shoots, and scores. And Ohio State is on the board first. Jack McKenna with his 9th of the season.
Number 27 in red, Jack McKenna. Just a strong take to his right hand. Nothing complicated about this, just getting up the hash, getting his stick upfield, and extending it around to the backside. That's a great first take out of Jack McKenna, and a strong start for Ohio State offensively.
Picking up where he left off in the last game, he had 2 goals and 3 assists in the 13-11 win over Rutgers back on March 29th. As Johns Hopkins at the face-off here, they won the first one with Callahan, and they get this one here. Ohio State, after starting off the season with a loss against Utah 19-13, they've now won 10 in a row. Blue Jays, trouble handling it there that time as Collison. It's taken away. On the other end, it's Ari Allen. Still has it.
And there are those unforced turnovers that we were talking about with Coach Millman this week. Those just can't happen, whether it's because they're youthful, whether it's because Russell Melendez isn't in the lineup. If they want to be able to come out of here with a victory today, Hopkins very much so has to limit those opportunities.
And it was really Ohio State that had kind of struggled in the turnover department, right, over the last couple of games to them, even though they've come away with some wins. 43 turnovers in the last 2 games combined. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I think when you think about Ohio State and their turnovers, if they're coming because you're being aggressive,
right,
and you're really trying to play fast, that's one thing. With Hopkins, if they're coming because you're uncertain or because your youth is showing, right, that just makes it a lot more difficult for you to get in a flow.
Well, that's a good point. And if you have less possessions, too, it makes it even more magnified. Griffin Turner has it for Ohio State. They're working behind the net here for Garrett Haas as they lead it 1-0 on the goal from Jack McKenna. Donnery up top, recovered here by Liam White. Shot clock is inside 10, and White trying to get it to Marinier. Couldn't grab it.
Tremendous defense out of Hopkins there. You see they're trying to slide fast, put Ohio State in a position where they feel a little bit more rushed than they're used to. We talked to Coach Myers this week. He felt like they were going to face more double teams than they faced all season long playing against Johns Hopkins. They're going to have to figure out how to manage that over the course of this game.
Here's Collison. He had the game-winning goal in overtime last year at Ohio State, and a Blue Jays 11-10 win. Chuck Rawson, having a Brooks English. Hunter Chavez. And Ohio State the other way. Look out. Cullen Brown brings it over. Picks it back up. Brown racing in, the feed, and a behind the back shot by Dante Bowen. Off the mark, but they're there for the backup.
That's his fun lacrosse right there. Cullen being in the skip lane right there, grabbing a nugget, getting that ball out of the air, being able to push in transition. That's fun up-tempo lacrosse that Ohio State's playing this year. 27 caused turnovers on the season's first on the team for Cullen Brown, number 42 in red for the Buckeyes. I mean, you talk a lot about Fyock, right, and how awesome he's been in goal. It's got to be the defense overall, right? It's not just the one guy, the goalkeeper. Their defense has been stellar in front of him. Yeah, and that's been a consistent theme for Ohio State over the years, just being very fundamentally sound defensively. And this year, their leader is Bobby Van Buren. He's a bona fide PLL draft pick.
Penalty coming up on Johns Hopkins. It doesn't matter as Marinier rips one through to make it 2-0 Buckeyes.
Talking about Van Buren being bona fide. How about Marinier, the goal scorer? This is his 35th goal of the year. Just great job setting up in the slot right there, off ball. Being patient, allowing the ball to come to him in that snappy, quick release. You see that out of Canadians. They do such a good job of allowing themselves to catch the ball and get it out right away.
35th goal of the campaign. First for Ohio State, and efficient. The last game, 3 goals on 4 shots. He rips this one through in his first shot of the day, and we're just over 5 minutes in, and it's 2-0 Ohio State. And taking the face-off here for the Buckeyes is Sean Magtoto, who gets it. As a violation prior that sent Oldman to the sideline, couldn't take the next face-off, so Magtoto able to get it here for Ohio State, just 4 of 11 on the season for him. Dylan McGee controls it. McGee in front, shot, score. The one-timer, and a flag is down as White puts it through. Liam White took a hit, scores it for Ohio State, 3-0.
Dylan McGee shaking and baking here, drawing that Hopkins defense. We know those slides are going to come early, but then it's Liam White catching that pass. Fantastic eyes up opportunity by McGee to find White, and then he soaks that hit by Hopkins.
Buckeyes history that they're trying to put together here under 17th year head coach Nick Myers. It's been pretty incredible here so far, Jules.
Absolutely, and obviously today they're off to a fast start, but they've been doing this all season long. They started off the season in a way with Utah, with that loss 19-13. But since then, they've rattled off 9 wins in a row. They've had 4 ranked wins in that time span, and they're really starting to peak at the right time. That's 10 in a row for them in terms of wins.
And against ranked competition, too. They played a tough schedule as well, so they're going to call this against Ohio State. Blue Jays with Dylan Bauer as they put it back in. You and I were discussing during the timeout. Blue Jays need a spark here. A little bit of a slow start, to say the least.
They need a spark. It's homecoming weekend.
Right.
So you assume that there should be extra energy coming from, whether it's the sideline, whether it's the senior leaders on the team. They have to figure out what that's going to be for them to not even just have the energy, but get settled into this game.
Yeah, you can't have it right now. 3 possessions, 3 turnovers for Johns Hopkins here to start this game. The Buckeyes team that is putting up numbers, not giving up much. Nick Myers is upset, and they called a timeout. As they're on the man up. And they're not letting up, that's the thing. We talked to him this past week. He was fired up, right, about what this team is doing and how it's kind of a different type of Ohio State team, Jules, isn't it?
And he's animated right now. One of the things that stood out to me in terms of talking to Coach, he said that there's a lot of meat on the bone, and that represents it right there. They're up 3-0. You would think that he'd be comfortable. 10-1, comfortable. No, he's not comfortable. There's a lot more they have to do if they want to have the opportunity to be playing in May and have the potential to make it to Final Four or even the national championship.
And when does it start? It starts in the previous June, where he said a lot of players, over 20, stayed around during the summer. Brown, Cullen, Haas, a lot of different guys staying there. And he said that's what's really helped with this season.
When you think about staying over the summer, soccer, everyone's there for the summer. Football, everyone's there for the summer. Lacrosse, a program like Ohio State's have 20 players staying over the course of that time period, working out in the weight room, eating the right way, just building more chemistry and more culture as a program. Those kind of opportunities really lend themselves to now and being able to continue to build in what they've had for the past couple of years since they built that stadium in 2023.
Right. 2,147, their own stadium, and the facility there now at Ohio State. And Myers told us about it and how it just feels different, right? It feels like their own now. I know that was probably fun again, playing in the shoe, but that's just too big, obviously. You know, to be able to have their own place, that program, it's really on the rise now.
And knowing a lot of Ohio State alumni, you talk to them, they're so well connected. There's a brotherhood there, but allowing them to have their own stadium, it just took that to the next level.
They're heading back home for next week, and they'll take on Maryland. They got to get by the Blue Jays here first. And a turnover. Picked up by Johns Hopkins. Tyler I, who's back in finally. He had broke his jaw versus Loyola. He's played in just 4 games this season. He scored 1 goal, number 48 for Johns Hopkins. They need his services. Dylan Bauer's got it. Jimmy Ayers. And now Eric Chick. Charlie Eiler. Here's Chick. Back up top. Reversed over to Stuart Phillips. Bauer can't hang on to it. Corrals it now.
Just feels like they're trying to wait for someone to make it happen. Someone on this Hopkins offense has to attack their matchup with aggression. Do it in space so that you don't feel congested by the Ohio State defense, but everyone just seems to be waiting for the next guy to get something done.
Yeah, it's a good point. The shot clock is winding down too as well, and it's down to 1, and that's it. They're not going to get a shot off. And the fans for Ohio State making some noise, as that's the 4th turnover already in this game in the 4 possessions for the Blue Jays. We're halfway through this first quarter. Gannon Matthews for Ohio State. Stutter step, takes it in, shoots, and the save is made. Good job there by Jelinas. A tough start for him early, Jules, as Ohio State was 3 of 6 shooting to begin this game. That's his first save of the afternoon.
That's massive for Jelinas, just for him to feel comfortable and get settled in and get that save. On top of the crease, too, that's not an easy save to make. Perhaps that's what's going to allow this Hopkins offense to then get settled in and feel like they can take a step offensively here. They haven't really done that in this first quarter.
Brooks English here up to Collison. And now the shot and the score from Dylan Bauer. That looked much better.
This is why lacrosse is a beautiful game. You get a stop down there by Jelinas. You feel that momentum. Ball comes down offensively. You build off of it. Great ball movement. Collison just getting that ball down to Bauer. Up the hash. Again, nothing complicated about it. Fundamental shot. But that's what they have to do. Execute the fundamentals very well for them to be competitive in this game.
It's a great point. They needed that, too, after the 3 goals to start for Ohio State. Feel like you're back in it here with 6 minutes and 18 seconds to play in the first quarter, albeit it's very early, but first quarter that's been dominated by the Buckeyes. Still loose here on the faceoff. Who wants it? Blue Jays. Good job there by Jack Montfort to come up with it. And a timeout is taken. Three to 1, Ohio State leads it. Timeout with 6:05 to play in the first. Here's tomorrow's Sunday night baseball matchup for you. The series finale between the Cardinals and the Red Sox at Fenway Park, 7 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins at 6 with baseball tonight, Sunday night countdown. Sunday night baseball tomorrow with the Cardinals and the Red Sox. Baseball kind of started a little bit earlier, I feel like, this year, right? End of March, and all of a sudden we're off and running here. Are you ready for baseball?
I am not a baseball guy, but what I have to say about baseball, I feel like it's never not on. The entire year it's going. I'll talk to my friends, they're Yankees fans or Mets fans, and I just say, you guys are always watching baseball.
162 games. How about Peter Milliman here in his 5th season for Johns Hopkins? 12th overall.
And he's got to be happy about the effort and the energy that they're starting to see. That massive ground ball out of Jack Monfort, number 34 in white, just feeding off of momentum. It's a game of runs. It's not going to happen all at once. They score that goal, and it feels like right away they're back into this game.
He said this past week the players, they're trying to get this team pumped up a little bit too. He was in a practice this week on Thursday, and Scott Smith, who one of their players, and they're doing some stick work, was saying, guys, come on, we're not playing hard enough. He told Coach Milliman, he said, blow the whistle. And Milliman blows the whistle, and he says, guys, not enough energy, not enough voice. It's homecoming week. We got to practice as if we're playing this game right now. And that's kind of what you were mentioning at the start. Got a little bit of momentum now back after that last goal.
And it says a lot about Scott Smith on the defensive side of the ball. For him to tell Coach, hey, I need you to blow the whistle. I need a moment right now for the team, for us to get back on track in practice. You practice how you play. Ultimately, they're doing that on the defensive side of the ball. They have to continue to elevate themselves offensively and find leadership outside of Russell Melendez to get that done.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach Milliman said how cool it is with the fanfare, the history, the tradition, where they have homecoming here today. It's also Champions Day as well. They normally do that on a separate day, but it's all being done here today. They've got the 2005 championship team back. They're honoring the 1980 and 85 championship team, as well as the 50th anniversary team. They always honor a 50th anniversary team, no matter what kind of season it was, but it was in 1975, and that was another great team for this Blue Jays group, all here in attendance here today. Here's Bauer. Behind the net, it's worked back out to the wing here for Brooks English. On the cut, and the shot from Collison goes over the cage. Right in his wheelhouse there, though, coming right on that left side for the lefty, and a little bit too high.
Yeah, and we see Chuck Rawson, number 51 in white. He's got a short stick. I would love to see him go from that corner versus Ari Allen here.
Here's Rawson. Feeds it in front. The shot and the save from Fyock, and the offering that time for Brooks English, and he's going to get it back.
And that's exactly what you want if you're the Hopkins offense. Chuck Rawson, he has that dynamic ability to free his hands versus a short stick. He can draw a lot of attention and then find those open opportunities. Big Tasty in the cage, Caleb Fyock, he takes up so much goal. You have to put him in spots where he's seeing shots in front of the cage. If he sees them down the alley, he's going to gobble them up all day long. He's continuing to show how good of a goalie he is by stopping those, but those are the ones that Hopkins has to continue to find.
That's a good point. He's already made a couple of great saves here already. Brooks English right now shovels it back up to the top. Collison lets it fly. And I mean, he's got a rip as well, but is that one of those two where you say that's one that Fyock can handle? That looked pretty good.
For that shot, Collison, it's either got to go in or it's got to go out. You see it, it's inches away from going in. I don't mind that at all. Out of bounds, reset for the Hopkins offense.
Okay. Rawson again, spins it back in front. Another one, there it is, and it's Eric Check falling down. The bouncer goes through, and the Blue Jays are within one.
This is a massive, massive goal for this Hopkins offense. They've been testing Fyock all game long. A team that's not mature would get rattled. Hopkins right now, they had to take a step. in terms of this offense and them showing, hey, we're just going to continue to find the right opportunities. And Erichik gets in front of the cage again, and they bury it. Fayok can only handle that so many times during the possession.
I think that's more what you were just talking about, right? Getting those looks right there. 2 goals in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. You saw the note, first goal in over 3 weeks for Chick. Callahan going up against Oldman, and Oldman wins it for Ohio State. Griffin Liedl. Now it's over to Blake Island. Flips it for Matthews. Comes the substitutions. McKenna back in, now over to Ben Mayer. We got Garrett Haas. Sending a pick here. Mayer fakes the pass to Haas. Buckeyes lead has been trimmed to 1. Mayer, guarded by Scott Smith.
So leaving Scott Smith on the island out there, no slides. No one wants to slide to the captain. They know he can get that job done on his matchup.
Staying right with it. Shot clock is inside of 20 seconds now. Haas. Oh, nice defensive play there by Johns Hopkins, and Jack Montfort got a stick in there and took it right away.
Tremendous takeaway check by Jack Montfort. I've seen that a couple times on film in terms of Haas just leaving his stick open and vulnerable in front of him. He can't do that in terms of stick protection. You have to keep the stick behind you and lead with your shoulder.
So really good job there by Montfort that time. And now Johns Hopkins, after goals from Dylan Bauer and Eric Chick, they've got a chance to tie it up. Back to the steal.
Jack Montfort again, tremendous defense. That swim move, tries to bring it across. He's watched film as well. He read the scout. Haas leaves himself vulnerable, and he gets a takeaway check.
And the pass went off the mark that time, looking for Charlie Eiler. Coming up on 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter on homecoming from Homewood Field in Baltimore, Maryland. This Big Ten conference matchup here with Ohio State and Johns Hopkins. 1-goal lead for the Buckeyes. They scored with Jack McKenna, Alex Marinier, and Liam White, the first 3 of the game before the Blue Jays came back with 2. Shane O'Leary. Griffin Turner. O'Leary doesn't have the angle. They work it behind the net. Turner again. The one-on-one defense, not too bad so far here for the Blue Jays.
And for the Blue Jays, a much different defensive style than the Buckeyes. You see, they'll sit back and they'll hedge.
Marinier's shot, it was saved by Jelinas, but Ohio State gets it back, and now an unsettled situation. They're going to score as Marinier gets it back and fires it through. That's tough, too, because Jelinas made the save, just wasn't able to clean it up in front.
Tough on Jelinas. Beautiful offense out of Ohio State here. Just watch Jelinas trying to pick this up. Just an unfortunate little bounce there. Ohio State's able to get that ground ball, Ed Sheehan, and then just getting that ball around, getting in and out of their stick quickly. Marinier's the beneficiary on the backside, showing his hands there again, going up to grab that ball. That slick release in and out. Unfortunate break for Jelinas there, who we know hasn't been having his best day today. He gets a save and then just isn't able to corral it and finish the play.
So Marinier, who has 2 goals here today, and on the feed from Liam White, who has a goal and an assist. As this first quarter has a minute to go, and the Blue Jays will get it down 2. There's Collison. For Bauer.
Mike, this is a critical possession for the Johns Hopkins offense right now. You saw they went down last time and they had another unforced turnover. They didn't have enough depth at X. They weren't available to secure that pass, so it ended up going out of bounds. They have the whole shot clock here. Don't let Ohio State get the ball and push it down in transition and score an easy goal. Either score the ball or run it out completely and let the quarter finish with the ball in the White's hands.
When do you want to try to go here? 22 seconds left.
I would say that they can go at any time they want, but don't force it. If you don't have it, don't take the unnecessary shot.
That's not a bad shot. That's off the post, though, that time by Brooks English. And it's all the way up to midfield. Kept in nicely that time by Colby Wishar. The clock is down to 5 seconds to go. And big tasty for Ohio State.
Doubt he was the starter in the goal. Hackler, their solo captain from Yale, who transferred to Hopkins and becomes a leader for this program, and then Russell Melendez, who's their best player offensively. It's just going to be really difficult for you to be consistent if you're Johns Hopkins with that many injuries.
No, for sure. You see the numbers. 6-1 with him, 0-3 without him. The goals, almost difference of 3 goals per game, and that's huge, obviously, as the Blue Jays trying to pick up their first conference win here. You talked about how important this matchup is, and then against the number 3 team in the nation who's won 10 straight. Start of the second quarter, faceoff is picked up by Jack Oldman as he wins it for the Buckeyes. Sixth in the nation with 88 ground balls on the season as well, too. And this one scooped up by Jelinas in goal for Johns Hopkins.
Another little bit of a mental error there. I know last time when Jelinas lost the ball around the crease, maybe it wasn't his fault as much. That time he had an opportunity to get in out of his stick. He steps back into the crease. It leads to a costly turnover for Johns Hopkins.
Start of the second quarter, and it's back over for the Buckeyes here. Working it behind the cage, Gannon Matthews. Reverses direction, gets inside of his defender, shoots, and a save from Jelinas. Maybe a fake right there, right? Instead, could have.
Big time save out of Jelinas. I did think Matthews had a little bit more time to get across the crease, maybe pump high, fake wrap around Jelinas. He's tall, he stands up in cage right there. You have to move a goalie like that who has that tall posture.
Good job, though, by Oren Jelinas on the save to keep it a 2-goal game here for Johns Hopkins. The Blue Jays now with Hunter Chavette, who's got 20 goals, leading this team 91 in scoring. It's over now to Eric Chick.
The sophomore just being draped all over by Bobby Van Buren, number 44 in red. Just completely different matchups right there. Chavette a little bit skinnier, the sophomore. Van Buren, big. I mentioned it earlier, he's a PLO pro, bona fide top 10 draft pick. That's tough for Chavette to go against as a sophomore.
Yeah, no doubt. So back over to Chavette now behind the cage goes here for Charlie Eiler. Check. Who scored the goal here today with Dylan Bauer, the 2 for the Blue Jays. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Bauer behind the net, the feed in front. Oh, what a play! Scoring for Chick on the feed from behind the net, and the shot clock was at 5. Charlie Eiler found him. It's a 1-goal game once again.
What an unbelievable handle out of Chick inside. I really don't even know how he caught this ball. That's such a small window out of Eiler, just stuffing the ball in there, and Chick's able to snag it. And credit to him, having defender draped on your arms like that, to be able to catch it and then finish it also. That's tremendous.
I was thinking the same thing. Greg Langermeyer, the senior, was right there in front of him. I don't even know where the window was for him to be able to catch and shoot that ball. And now they win the faceoff here with Logan Callahan. He goes in and shoots, and the save from Fyock. And it is picked up by Ohio State here with Bobby Van Buren.
And you could see the energy out of Fyock there before when they let Chick, catch that ball. Then he turns around and gets a save. That speaks to, again, Big Tasty, Caleb Fyack, his leadership ability. He's going to get on the guys that let things happen like that, but then he's going to step up and make the save as well.
Yeah, no doubt. It would have been a 4-4 game, but then they just hoisted down the field, and it was a turnover, and now the Blue Jays have a chance to tie it. Collison trying to feed it in front, and he was looking for Eiler, and it's knocked down, but they get it back.
Collison, I don't think he should have been looking for anything other than his shot there. I think he had a clean lane to his left hand in the middle of the field. He has to be taking that shot for Johns Hopkins.
That's what I thought he was about to do. Maybe a little bit too far out, but now it's Rawson. Being bumped here by Ari Allen. Eiler. Collison and Chavette. Chavette, he gets in front, he shoots, and Fyack got a piece of it. So reset the shot clock here, and it's going to be Eiler to put it back in with a fresh 60.
That was unfortunate there for Chavette. I thought if he could have just kept his feet a little bit longer, he would have been able to get in front of Fyack. Kind of started to fall down there and had to rush that shot a little bit faster than he wanted to.
5 saves for Caleb Fyack in goal for Ohio State. Rawson recovers it, being hounded by Ari Allen. Eiler. Here comes a slide. And he gets away, gets in front, he shoots, and Fyack got another save, diving down his 6th of the day.
What an unbelievable save out of Fyack, and you just see the energy going at him there again. That was number 29, Charlie Eiler just getting in front, but Fyack just showing his athleticism there. Not only does he take up so much of the cage, but he's athletic enough to get across and dive for that shot. Let's take another look here.
Wow.
He's just getting his body down there.
And that's why he's 2nd in the nation in goals against average and 1st in save percentage. Shane O'Leary here for Ohio State. On the feed, on the shot, the score, it's Marinier. Hat trick today here in the 2nd.
Marinier just always seems to be in the right spot at the right time. Jewel Walker, number 6 on Ohio State, just finding him again, but Marinier just showing that shooting stroke. Right place, right time, getting the ball in and out of his stick. He's so efficient. Right, that's his 36th goal of the season off the Fyack save, just setting the tone again on the defensive side of the ball. Fyack is.
It's twice today, and you said it, Jules, right? Right after that takeaway, he came back and made a huge save to keep it a 1-goal lead, and then diving down, making the stop that leads to the goal. I mean, that is the difference right now. It's a 5-3 lead for Ohio State.
And you know what that is? That's very deflating for an offensive unit. Any unit in the country that's deflating for. But if you're young and you look at this Hopkins offense, who are young, that's got to be so much more deflating because you just haven't been in enough games to understand the flow and understand what that feels like to be able to stay in the moment, stay consistent. Credit to Fyack for continuing to put this young Johns Hopkins offense in a tough spot.
Yeah, it's not just the saves, it's when. It's the timely saves and what it does for the team, like you talked about. Marinier is 3 of 4 shooting, which he was in the last game too, by the way. And we're only in the 2nd quarter here. The rest of the team is 2 for 7 for Ohio State as they lead it by 2. This is Bauer. I mean, the Blue Jays have been getting some good looks.
They have. What I really credit them for today is allowing themselves to get deep into the possessions. It was something that we talked about with Coach Millman this week. One part was unforced turnovers on the offensive side of the ball, but the other part was playing into deep possessions, allowing their defense to take breaks.
Opportunity here, Fyack on the save from Chavette. They had to put it on as the shot clock was down to 5 again. It's a loose ball, and it's picked up by the Blue Jays. They'll have another crack at it.
And that's the exact look that you want. Chauvet at 10 yards in front of the cage. It doesn't get any better than that. But Caleb Viak just, again, showing how unbelievable of a stopper he really is.
I mean, that's the #1 goal scorer for the Blue Jays against one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best this season, for Caleb Viak, and you're right. Call him Big Tasty. He's been standing strong as he has been all season. Another one. His 8th save and the 5th here in this second quarter. Eiler behind the net. Shovels it in front. Nothing there. It's on for Rawson. Whistle going the other way.
Got to get another look at that. I don't love that call. They're trying to muck it up a little bit on the inside there. I'll let the guys play a little bit.
They call a hold there? Push?
Yeah, push.
Away from the ball.
Yeah, and you know, there's so much going on inside there. Usually the refs aren't looking as much. Let the guys play, let them have some fun, get physical inside there.
Yeah, that's tough for the Blue Jays. Takes them out of their possession there halfway through here the second quarter. Let's see if they call this on. Oh, yeah. Not much, though, like you said.
Yeah, the guys are just still just cutting through the middle, setting back screens. Just part of the game.
Hard one to take there for Johns Hopkins. Ohio State now has a chance to double up their advantage here. Double up the Blue Jays. 5-3, second quarter. Nice move, inside shot, score, Ben Mayer. Falling down, puts it in. His first goal today, his 10th of the season.
And credit to him just taking another step this season as a sophomore compared to what he did last year.
There's his mom in the Ohio State sweatshirt on the right there, on the right side of your screen. His mom, Jessica. And a couple over, his sister, Addison, grandmother, Marcia. There's his dad, Rob, here watching on as he's from Bowie, Maryland, just 30 miles down the road here.
Yeah, it really feels like a home game for Viak in some ways with the family that he has here and just the energy and the spirit that he's playing with today. You know, you love to see that out of a player like him who just, regardless of the opportunity, right, specifically at Homewood Field, he wants to show up and just be a little bit better than he usually is.
Had a chance to talk to him before the game here today and was very appreciative of, you know, what we've said about how great he's been playing this season, and felt like it was awesome to be here in front of his family as well, too. And I remember watching him play in the National High School Lacrosse Showcase down in Columbia, Maryland, not far away a few years back. It was when I got introduced to him the first time. I'm like, watch this guy here. They call him Big Tasty. I'm like, oh, okay. And he was dominant. I mean, he looked like he was a college player back then in high school. And now here he is, as you said, as a sophomore at Ohio State, really took a huge step this year. Blue Jays. Pass in front, another save from Viak, and it was that time Stuart Phillips for the Blue Jays with that shot.
It looked like Viak there, his body was kind of turned when he saved that ball, almost as if he kind of knew he was going to save it just by like stepping in front of it.
A variety of different ways that he makes the plays here, right? That's now 9 saves, 6 this quarter. His season high in saves is 15. He already has 9. We've got 5 minutes still to go here in the first half. Ohio State with Liam White. And this is taken away. Good job, Blue Jays, with Colby Wishart.
Hopkins defense just quietly doing their job. I've seen that a couple of times. Wishart just snagging the ball out of the air, whether it's snagging the ball out of the air there, whether it's, you know, Scott Smith taking the ball away on ball. They seem to show up consistently over the course of the game. Just see offensively, they've done a better job of settling in. Now they just have to hit their shots.
The Blue Jays have had 12 shots on goal here in this game. 3 of 12, and you said it earlier about how you can kind of get frustrated a little bit with just the outstanding plays that Fiac on this defense is making. What can you do here?
You have to just stay the course. Trust that what you're doing is right. Eventually, if you continue to do it, Fiac can only make so many saves in the game. You have to keep putting pressure on him, and don't just be satisfied with the shot. Have some conviction that you're going to score the ball too.
Up top, Chavette rips one wide right. And it'll be put back in by Eiler. Johns Hopkins has now missed their last 7 shots and 9 of the last 10. Eiler. And they try to get it in front of Rawson. And Fiac has it now. I think that's when they've had success though, right? They've had Chick cutting in a couple of times, or they had that nice pass from behind the cage to him for a goal. I kind of agree with you. You're not going to be able to get him from deep, I feel like, today. I mean, he's always seeing it well. That's 8 turnovers now for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just can't have those unforced turnovers. Like you just mentioned, Mike, that's 8 for the day. 5 of them, I think, are ones of just passing errors. And they continue to show that youthfulness in terms of that poor stick work, and that just can't happen if they want to have an opportunity to win today.
Let me revise what I said about Fiac's season-high saves. He had 19 in the last game against Rutgers. That's the most this season. Here's Matthews. Nice, getting the shot free was Alex Marinier for his 4th today. Too much space there, Jules.
Way too much space for Marinier. I said it earlier, Mike. He's just always in the right spot. Always in the right spot. And unlike on the Hopkins team right now, their shooters are not shooting with this kind of conviction. Watch Marinier. He catches this ball. He knows for a fact that he's getting this on cage and he's gonna bury it. Watch how much confidence he has in that shooting stroke. There's nothing stopping him when he's open at 12 yards with his right hand. Marinier's not letting that opportunity pass him by.
Got to be a miscommunication defensively somewhere, because they were late coming out on him. They kind of left him, right? I mean, he has 3 goals part of that shot. Now he's got 4.
And you can't continue to leave him open. He has to be a marked man,
right,
in terms of the off-ball presence if you're Johns Hopkins defense, even if that means you're giving up shots for someone else.
Yeah, at this point, you're going to try to let someone else beat you, not their top player right now, who now has 38 goals on the season. They've hit their last 3 shots. They are 3 of 4 this quarter. The Buckeyes are now with a 7-3 lead. There was O'Leary that went down. Oh, before that, they called a timeout. Okay. And Ohio State saves the possession here.
That was sneaky out of Nick Myers, that timeout. He saw his Ohio State Buckeye falling down.
Just take a deep breath.
Saved the day.
Real fast. Okay.
Well, coming up at the half, Lacrosse, Paul Carcaterra and Charlotte North talking about some of the great programs that are making some headway here this season. That's all coming up at the half on our next edition of Lacrosse with Carc and Charlotte. So stay tuned for that. We'll also talk about some of the upcoming games on our ESPN networks here on both the men's and women's side. Highlights, stats from halftime here at Homewood. It is homecoming today for the Blue Jays as they trail it by 4. Mike Corey alongside 2-time All-American out of Rutgers and 4-time PLL All-Star Jules Heningberg here today. Buckeyes try to win their 11th in a row, number 3 team in the country after that opening season loss to Utah 19-13. That was way back on February 1st. Haven't lost since.
They feel very balanced to me. Defensively, Bobby Van Buren leading the way. He's a bona fide PLL draft pick. Caleb Fiac in the cage is one of the best, if not potentially the best goalies in the country. Offensively, they have, I believe, 8 players over 15 points on the season so far. 35 goals out of Alex Marinier, leading the Big Ten in scoring and goals. He's having an incredible day today. I think they're so balanced offensively. They have the defensive presence. They have the goalkeeping. This is a team to watch out for. Not just in the NCAA tournament, getting there, but potentially winning it all.
I mean, look at this here today for his efficiency. And then last game, 3 goals on 4 shots. So he is 7 for his last 9 for Ohio State in the last 2 games.
Confidence plays such a big part, Mike, in terms of being a shooter. You watch him, and there's just something different about it when it leaves his stick. It just feels like he knows it's gonna go in. And you have to credit that to growing up in Canada and the amount of touches you get as a box lacrosse player. They're just at such an advantage over a lot of American players, and just the opportunities they have to get those shots off over the course of their development.
Yeah, agreed on all that too, and just the way this team is playing overall too. Everybody's playing with confidence, including this guy again, Marinier. He's got 5, and right on cue, Jules, the way you said it, and he shows us again.
There was a player a few years back at Ohio State. I'm sure you know the name, Trey Leclerc. I played against Trey Leclerc. He's a PLO player now. It looks like he's shooting the ball like Trey Leclerc would shoot the ball. When he would shoot the ball when he play Ohio State, the ball would leave his stick. It was going 100 miles an hour. He didn't even need to crow hop into it, and it just felt like it was going to go in. That's how Alex Marinier is shooting the ball right now. Every single time it leaves his stick, you're holding your breath, and you know it's going to go in.
That was crazy. Gannon Matthews has the last 2 assists to Marinier, who now has 5 goals today. And this second quarter has belonged to the Buckeyes. The next stop on the F1 schedule, the Japanese Grand Prix. That's tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. And the app pre-race coverage begins at 11:30 p.m. tonight on ESPNU. That's the Japanese Grand Prix, the F1 circuit. We're down to 1:20 to go in this first half. And it's been 4 straight by Ohio State after it was a 1-goal game. Rawson shoots, and that's off to the right.
And this is the biggest possession of the game for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays right now. I don't think they have to score here. Cannot have unforced turnovers via stick work. Can't give Caleb Fyock an easy out and an up and out and give them transition. They have to be able to put themselves in a position right now to get a quality shot. It's got to go in or it's got to go out, but cannot give Ohio State transition opportunity.
Well, you just said it, and this ball is loose, and it's going to be kicked up the field off the official, and a big break there for Ohio State, and it's corralled here by Greg Langermeyer, and he still has it as a bounce shot off to the right of the cage. It's going to be picked up by the Buckeyes, and they're going to say out of bounds. Wow. Almost kept it in there that time. Valiant effort by Ryan Donnery.
Very fortunate break there for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
It really was, because it was going to be exactly what you said can't have happen, and them have another opportunity to tack on another. Now you got 20 seconds remaining here. Jimmy Ayers, ball's loose down front of the cage. Fyock, and he's going to get it. There's still time here. He's got 10 saves on the day. The outlet pass picked up by Johnny Cool. Here's Cool for Ohio State. He shoots, and the save is made by Jelinas. So hold it at an 8-3 game. That was huge.
To get back into this game, unless they get rid of the unforced turnovers, stick work errors, things that are giving Ohio State second chance opportunities to get the ball.
Yeah, it's 2 players here. Marinier offensively, Caleb Fyock defensively for Ohio State as they lead it here. Let's start with Marinier.
Marinier, to me, is one of the best shooters in the country. His ability to get the ball in and out of his stick is excellent. His efficiency is off the charts. He's Johnny on the spot. He's in the right place at the right time, and he's got so much confidence as a shooter. You see him get the ball in and out of his stick. It's almost like he knows it's going in every time before he even shoots the ball. That's rare out of a shooter to be playing at the level he's been playing at right now. Credit to him for leading this Ohio State offense.
He's 5 for 6 today, 8 for his last 10 in the last 2 games. How about this guy?
And then Caleb Fyock, big tasty, as advertised, if not more, as a goaltender. He shows his athleticism there. It's his fun energy, but then it's also his leadership. I talked about it earlier. It just feels like he's commanding the defense. He's giving them so much confidence. They know that he's got their back, and that's a great place to be if you're a defensive unit.
And he's made so many different saves, as you've seen there, in a variety of ways, too, as well. He had 7 in the second quarter, 10 overall for the game. Here's some more numbers for you here. Johns Hopkins was 0 for their last 9 shooting. Face-offs, not too bad there, but again, it's the offensive production from Marinier, 5 of 6, and the defensive saves and stops and goal by Fyock.
And to be honest with you, Mike, Hopkins is getting great shooting opportunities.
Yeah.
They're getting in front of the cage. They're getting step-down shots in the middle of the net at 10, 11, 12 yards. Fyock is just doing an incredible job of seeing the ball and stopping it today.
That's the thing. You're right. It's not like they're not getting some looks or horrible offensive possessions. They have really turned it up because they gave up 3 goals in a row to start the game. And they played a little bit better toward the end of that first quarter. And the second quarter was fine for the beginning part, and then all of a sudden it was Marinier. And Ohio State is working on 4 in a row as the second half is underway, and the Blue Jays win this faceoff. And with the possessions, like you're talking about, taking some time, and Coach Millman didn't want to see, quick early shots that, weren't of value. They're trying. It takes a little bit to try to find an opening, right, against this Ohio State defense.
Yeah, this is a stout unit. They're very strong, both at the defensive midfield position and at the close position. But the most important thing, right, for Hopkins, they have to spread them out. Don't put yourself in positions where you're getting squeezed by the Ohio State defense. Get longer slides, pull them out of their comfort zone, and get the ball hot.
Brooks English on the shot there that time. 1 goal off of the 9 face-off wins today, directly on the next offensive possession for the Blue Jays. It's something we like to track because you see face-off wins and numbers all the time, and if it doesn't relate to a goal, then what's the sense of it sometimes? Here's a whistle, or here's a flag. It's going to be a delayed penalty. Now they're going to call it, and it's coming up on Ohio State. Here comes the call. Holding on Ohio State. Cullen Brown, 30 seconds.
And this is strong take out of Collison. We talked about this at halftime, Mike. We wanted to see him dodge a little bit more. And obviously he didn't score, he didn't get an assist, but he drew a flag because he's going hard to the net, and he's 6'4", 225 pounds. We have to see him assert himself more in this second half of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays offense.
Man-up offense, 4th in the Big Ten, 37th in the country for Johns Hopkins. See if they can get something here. Chavette. English. Back over to Chavette. Down low, shot, save, Fyock, another one. And this time on the rebound. Can't stop that one. And the Blue Jays and Rawson put it through.
Tremendous skip pass out of Charlie Eiler there. The one more pass out of Chavette. Rawson gets up the hash. Johnny on the spot. Not the first one, but the second one. Keeping with it, Fyock could not get back in position, and they scored that ball.
That's probably going to be some of the ways you're going to get back into this thing, right? On stuff like that. You got to stay with it. That second opportunity there, Fyock, as you said, wasn't able to stop the shot from Rawson. Then they get the faceoff win here for Logan Callahan. And over to Tristan Jewell. And now settling it in here is Jack Montfort. First goal in 14 minutes and 26 seconds for Johns Hopkins. Eiler. Chavette. Chick. Jimmy Ayers now has it. Number 7 is Dylan Bauer. Bauer's got it. And also out there for the Blue Jays, Stuart Phillips. Check. In front. Turnaround shot, scoring. It's Ayers. That's tough to see.
Eric Chick, watch yourself. That little hesitation, we'll see. This is subtle. Right there. Drops the Ohio State defender and then finds his teammate on the crease, airs. That was nifty at a chick, and an even better finish at airs to catch that ball, turn around and jump shot. You couldn't ask for a better second half start if you're Johns Hopkins.
No doubt. 59 seconds in between those two goals, and what can they do here at the X? Gonna get this back and go 3 in a row. Callahan up against Jack Oldman, and oh no, this time it was Sean Magtoto who again took the face-off for Ohio State, and that's the second one he's done here today. It's now 10-6 in favor of the Blue Jays at the X, but big face-off win there for Ohio State to kind of stop this little run, at least for the time being. McKenna. Jack McKenna turns, shoots, and he scores and gets it right back for the Buckeyes.
Mike, this is a carbon copy of Jack McKenna's first goal we saw in the first quarter, where he's just too big, too strong, just getting up the hash there, leaning in on number 6 for Johns Hopkins. Quentin Kilrain, he just can't handle McKenna's body, right? He's able to free his hands and turn the corner with his right hand. It's too easy.
And it happened fast, too. 36 seconds response from Ohio State right there. Magtoto again at the faceoff here for Ohio State. He wins it. Gives it up. And firing away there was Marinier. And he almost had his 6th of the day. That's asking a lot, but he's been special today. He's 5 for 7 now shooting.
That was maybe the first shot of the day by Marinier that you felt like it was just a little bit rushed.
Yeah.
He could have held on to that for a half more second just to build up that confidence that he's had this whole game, but he rushed that one.
And this one's going to go in here for Johns Hopkins from Brooks English.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky. And against Caleb Big Tasty Fyock, you got to get some of these. Brooks English, great shot opportunity getting to the middle of the field. The ball's tipped. Fyock can't get his eye on it. Another score out of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
It was 8-3 at halftime. We haven't even played 4 minutes yet here in the third quarter. And the Blue Jays have scored 3 of the last 4 here. It's a 3-goal game.
Homecoming, seeing those national championship teams on the field being honored. You can't help but have energy, Mike, going into the second half of your Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Milliman had something to say about it too as well. 3 goals in 2 minutes and 6 seconds for the Blue Jays. And now with momentum here to start the third. And you know it, we all know it here watching lacrosse. It doesn't take long, right? It doesn't. You get some momentum, you're on a tear. We haven't even played, just overplayed 4 minutes of this third quarter. And Brooks English, and his stick now, going down was Rawson. No call. Here's Collison, and a feed, and a shot that sails a little bit high that time from Chavette.
That was an elite look out of Collison. I got to be honest, I didn't even see where he was passing that ball to. Him getting over the top to his left hand, sweeping. That's a very difficult feat.
Now, we were talking about at halftime about number 16 in white, Collison. We want to see different from him out of the second half.
I just get involved more. I just want to see him have the ball in his stick. Every time he seems to have it, something good happens. Whether he drew the penalty last time, that assist he had there. I didn't even know he had that in his bag. If he could pass like that, we want to see him dodging more and more.
Right. Fyock was able to clean it up, and he does a really good job of that too this season in ground balls. He's over 30 on the campaign, and sometimes everyone else is fighting for it. He's just like, boom, I got it. In front, shot, score it, and the Buckeyes with Garrett Haas. It's that transition again.
Just fundamentally sound lacrosse here, Mike. Ohio State pushing transition. Number 34, Blake Island to Marinier, and then Haas is the beneficiary on the crease. Just a little bit of a pump high, wrap his hands, extend around the keeper. That's too easy if you're the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hopkins has to get back in transition and match up.
We've had 5 goals in 5 minutes here to start this third quarter. It's back to a 4-goal lead, though, for Ohio State. Callahan now battling back up against Jack Oldman for Ohio State. And the Blue Jays have changed goalkeepers now here as well. Jack Webb is in, the senior from Baltimore. He is the goalkeeper now for the Blue Jays. Second assist of the season for Marinier, just his second assist on that last goal for Garrett Haas. He's got 6 points today. 5 goals and 1 assist. Ayers, make it Phillips. Makes a big hit there. Like Greg Langermeyer. Good clean hit. Now it's Ayers behind the cage. That didn't have the angle, it's way off. It's going to stay though with Johns Hopkins. Over there closest to it was Eiler.
Love to see a little bit of a 2-man game action. Yep, exactly. Ayers goes set one for Eiler, potentially get a step or a switch.
Oh, Eiler, nice move in front. He shoots and scores. Got in front of Kyle Foster that time, and a nice move to put one through for the Blue Jays.
This Blue Jays offense is at their best when they spread Ohio State out. Don't let Ohio State pack it in and slide to them as aggressively as they have been. Here we put 2 men behind the cage. It's Ayers and Eiler. And Eiler just getting in front of the cage here, absorbing the contact. Right, it's right there, absorbs that contact out of Foster, uses it to his advantage, gets back underneath, dip and dunk. That's a high-level play out of Charlie Eiler, number 25 in white. Excuse me, 29.
7 goals by 6 different players for Johns Hopkins here today. Chick has 2. We got Rawson, Ayers, English, Eiler, Bauer. Fight for it here. Whistle. And it's going against Ohio State. So it's Blue Jays possession. And we've had a total of 6 goals already here in the third. 4 have been scored by Johns Hopkins. And let's think of this. Caleb Fyock is second in the nation in goals against average, 6.83 per game. Blue Jays already have 7 on him here today, Jules, and we still have 8 minutes to go in the third. As good as he's been, they're getting goals to go through.
Well, it just felt like they were getting the opportunities, and it was just only a matter of time. They had to stick with it. They've come out in the second half with tremendous energy and just a different kind of fight in them.
Chavette up top here for Collison. Looking, nice feed in front, the shot to score from Bauer. Dylan Bauer, and he's made it a 2-goal game.
Way more to offer than what he does. And in terms of his production, it's not showing, but he has all the potential in the world. You saw it in the overtime shot. 2 assist opportunities, one of them hit today. The next thing for him is going to be scoring. Watch out for that in the second half.
Yeah, I think all the signs, like you said, are pointing right now with Johns Hopkins. They had the looks in the first half. It was Fyock making all the saves. What about the difference that he's had here in the second half in terms of his percentages? I mean, first half, 10 saves, 3 goals against.
Third quarter, right, only 1 save, 5 goals allowed in this second half.
Blue Jays looking to cut it to 1. Bauer Feeds it up top, and Chavette couldn't quite corral it. Ohio State the other way with Langermeyer. And then he almost throws it away, and Marinier has it.
The Johns Hopkins Blue Jays offense there just getting a little bit too cute, trying to make those passes about 3 or 4 yards. Again, you can't do that against Ohio State. They will swarm you. They're too aggressive. They're going to make you pay for that every single time.
11 turnovers so far in this game. You see coming up later at 4 o'clock Eastern on the ACC Network, Virginia and number 8 North Carolina. Mayer. Here's Gannon Matthews. Back to Mayer, now behind the net here for Jack McKenna. Gets the pick there from Haas. Back to Haas. Looking, feeding in the middle. Another extra pass, and a shot that's way off the mark that time from Matthews. I like the idea, though, is he got that feed from Marinier.
That stick work was unbelievable.
Yeah.
If they would have scored on that, that would have been an incredible, incredible play.
Haas spinning around, lost the ball, and they're going to call a push on the Blue Jays, and it will keep it here. McKenna. Over to Matthews here now. Ohio State is led by as many as 5 in this game. It's down to 2. And that offensive production, you know, now also tries to fire up your defense a little bit too.
Yeah, and one big difference between just the Hopkins defense and the Ohio State defense, Hopkins is going to slide quickly. So Ohio State has to be prepared for that. Right now, I think they're dodging and holding the ball a little bit too long. Anticipate the slides and get the ball in and out of your stick quicker.
Jack Webb getting a piece of that shot and goal that time for Johns Hopkins. Shot clock reset to 60. Ohio State with McKenna again behind the net. Mayer, Haas, Donnelly working around in front of the net. McKenna still with it here on the outside. He shoots, just missing to the right. And there is Mayer. Put it back in. Mayer, behind the back, no. And Haas, closest to it. 24 seconds on the shot clock. Haas, he shoots, he scores. Unleashing right off the restart, and the Buckeyes get one back here.
And Mike, it just felt like eventually one of these was gonna go. Garrett Haas getting up the hash with his left hand. No slide in sight for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. That's unlike them. That little flick of the wrist, just getting past goal line extended. That is an elite shot, scoring that near side. That's a big time play out of the sophomore.
How about that placement? There was not much room.
A little flick of the wrist.
Excellent finish. He's got 2 goals and an assist for Ohio State here today. Callahan winning the faceoff for Johns Hopkins. It's now 15-7. Faceoff wins. But how many goals have they scored off of those faceoff wins? 6. They've had 6 in a row, faceoff wins. I'm going to check on how many goals they've scored on the immediate possession. 4. This could be 5 here if they pick this one up. Collison, Bauer, Rawson, Eiler. Eiler in front, just missing to the right.
I gotta say, I really loved Eiler's aggression today. The sophomore just really stepping up and being the catalyst for this Johns Hopkins Blue Jays offense. Just feeling like whenever they need something, he's ready to go. He's not scared to attack the net.
I agree with you on that one. Number 29 in white, talking about Charlie Eiler. For Johns Hopkins, coming into this game with 9 goals, 7 assists, 2 assists in the last game. Here's Brooks English, Bauer, and that pass is off of Collison, and it's taken away here with Bobby Van Buren for Ohio State, and it gets it right back as Bauer for the Blue Jays.
Was about to compliment Van Buren, vacuum the ball up off the ground, going the other way, and then just throwing it a little bit behind his Ohio State teammate. That's an unfortunate turnover. This is a tremendous opportunity for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays to strike.
Well, it's the first turnover of the quarter for Ohio State as we come up on 3 minutes remaining as they lead by 3 as Rawson spins back. Chavez up to Collison.
This is what we want. Collison on a short stick matchup. Keep the ball with the shorty. Don't let them slide and flush you out like that, Collison.
Ball's loose. Eiler, Rawson picks it back up. Eiler again. Kyle Foster's on him. Now back for Bauer. Guarded by Langermeyer. On the feed, looking for the cutter with Chavez, but it's corralled by the Blue Jays. Collison back over to the wing, and the shot that time from Brooks English. And this is going to be Ohio State possession.
Unfortunate, no shot back up there. But man, that was a nifty 1-2 out of Collison there to get it back to, I believe that was Brooks English,
yes,
number 25, who shot that. Collison wound up after the pass from Brooks English. He drew the Ohio State defender who was guarding English. He tossed it back to him. That's really nifty, but there's no shot back up. That's unfortunate.
Give me your take on when you're in the offensive end like that. Do you have to recognize, like, at all times, am I behind that defender? You know, do I have that guy back there? I mean, I know when you're trying to shoot and score, you're not thinking about that, but whose responsibility is that?
No, you just have to be able to look around and have some awareness. Understand it, if there's no one back there, it's got to be you.
Okay. Ohio State, Griffin Turner. Behind the net here. Taz gets in front and he scores. That is 3 in a row by him for Ohio State, and they take a 4-goal lead.
The sophomore Garrett Haas out of Fairview, Texas, with a massive take. This is a sophomore stepping up in a Big Ten game here, taking his defender to the rack. All the confidence in the world, getting around that little fake high, extending his hands to dip it low. That's big-time lacrosse right there.
What did we say about Canada and the different states? Was it 18?
18 different between the provinces of Canada represented and the states. 18 different places in North America that are being represented on the field right now from the Ohio State University Buckeyes.
That's a great point. 3 for 3 shooting is Haas here today, and they lead it 12-8. And that was to our point earlier about Nick Myers in this program and how this is kind of, you know, they feel it differently now. They have the new stadium from back in 2023. They're getting the recruiting all over now, right? And they're in the midst of a 10-game win streak and possibly one of their best seasons in school history if they can keep it going. It's a different look on this Ohio State team this year.
It just speaks to also the Big Ten feel, the football feel of the school. People are coming from Texas, Idaho, Florida, Illinois, California. Everyone's coming together to be a part of that family, the Ohio State Buckeye Brotherhood. And it's showing not only today, but over the course of the season, how important that's been for them to find success.
Mayer. Heard by Eric McDonald for Johns Hopkins. Waiting to make a move here. 20 seconds on this shot clock, which is equal with the game clock, and they're waiting to close it out here in the third. Now the shot, that's off the mark. Gonna stay with Ohio State here. 8.9 seconds to go in the third. Marinier starts it back up. McKenna. 5 seconds, McKenna in front, knocked down. It's loose, it goes out. 0.6 seconds, that's gonna take us to the end of the third quarter. And Ohio State They had a 5-goal lead at the half. And there was 5 goals scored in this third quarter by Johns Hopkins, but 4 by the Buckeyes, and they lead by 4 to the 4. Goals here, we had 9 total, Jules.
Yeah, it started off with the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays coming out with a flurry of them scoring, and then Ohio State started to settle in and started to respond a little bit. Someone I want to just call here, Garrett Haas, the sophomore from Fairview, Texas. He's got 4 points on the day so far. He's done an unbelievable job of just kind of being in the moment and stepping up when Ohio State needed him most. I know we talked about Alex Marinier. He's kind of being their key guy, their goal scorer. Yeah. But the sophomore Garrett Haas is really making a name for himself as kind of the quarterback of this Ohio State unit.
Yeah, he really turned it on there late in that third quarter to help push this lead back up. As it was down to 2, it's now 12-8 as we get set to start the fourth. Mike Corey alongside Jules Henningberg, former 2-time All-American out of Rutgers and 4-time PLL All-Star. Big thanks to our producer today, Kyle Binder, with our director, James Andrews, alongside Ray McPrim and Kent John, Chase Eisenogle, Austin Hernandez, and our crew in the studio with our audio from Michael Pope and Corey Evans, EJ Insco on video. Our good friend, the standing statistician, Russ Lynn, here with us up in the booth. Al Evans downstairs on official stats. Fourth quarter is underway here at Homewood Field in Baltimore, Maryland. Homecoming for them here today. Perfect day, too, for lacrosse, by the way, right? In the mid-60s. Not too hot, not too cold. Not a crazy wind here, right?
And the weather is holding up perfectly. And Collison's getting to his left hand.
Fayok on the save. Goes down. Is he okay? Caleb Fayok is still down. It's his 12th save of the day. Oh, no. Let's see if we can see what happened there. I'm gonna help him up.
Collison getting to his left hand over the top here, which means he's getting a strong shot off, and I imagine that must have hit Caleb in perhaps a tough spot. Let's see if we can see it here.
Hit him on the leg, maybe?
Hard to see where it exactly hit him, but awesome to see him standing up there. That would have obviously been a tremendous blow to the Ohio State Buckeyes, but you would just hate to see that happen to such a young man like Caleb Fayok.
They're going to go with the backup here. Henry Blake is going to come in. And his dad, Rob, looking on. His family's here at Homewood today, and his mother, Jessica, sister Addison, grandma and Marcia. 30 miles down the road in Bowie, Maryland is where he grew up. And it's great to see him come off the field and walk off the field as he tries to shake it off now on the sideline. But they bring in Henry Blake, his 6th game of the season. Senior out of Kentfield, California. Fayok now raising his right hand like saying, hey, I'm good. I can come back in. And that's impressive for the big guy. And he is going to do that right now. So he's going to trot back out onto the field. So Fayok back in for Ohio State, and they have possession with a 4-goal lead.
They're very happy if you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan to see Fayok get back on the field so quickly. Again, just speaks to his toughness, his leadership. He doesn't want to sit on the sideline. He wants to be in this game. This is a very important contest for the Ohio State Buckeyes to get out of here with a win.
A push is called on Johns Hopkins. It'll keep it here with Ohio State as it was knocked down for the moment by Jack Webb in goal for the Blue Jays. And he has been the backup here in today for Oren Jelinas, who started this game. Remember, Luke Stout, who's the normal starter, had a concussion at Syracuse a few games back. That was 4 games ago. And we were told was warming up and did practice this week. but is not in action today. They're hoping to get him back as well. So this ball is taken away by the Blue Jays. And here they come now with Brooks English over midfield, down 4, 2 minutes gone by, fourth quarter.
Tremendous ground ball out of Jack Webb there, the goalie, as you just mentioned, in for Jelinas. But then I think the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays potentially fumbled a transition opportunity there. I thought they had numbers.
Yeah.
I think they gave it up a little bit too early. I would have loved to see them push that in transition and get a shot on Fayak, who's just coming back into the game and trying to get settled in.
Yeah, with the injury having to stop play, he has to come out. And then, of course, he was like, okay, I'm doing all right. I can go right back in. It was just great to see him be able to come right back in, that it wasn't more serious than that, as he makes a save, and it seems to be okay on the shot from Chavette that time, his 13th save of the day.
He doesn't miss a beat. I will say, though, that's shot out of Chavette. It's low angle. It didn't really have the pop on it that I think it could have had. That's easy for Caleb, even though he just got back in the field. But if they would have taken one in transition in the middle of the field, that would have maybe been more unsettling for him to see in that first possession.
Ball on the stick of Shane O'Leary here for Ohio State. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth. They lead by 4. Griffin Turner. Here's Marinier. 5 goals today, number 5 for Ohio State. It's behind the net. For Haas, who has the last 3 for the Buckeyes. Number 2, back to Marinier, too much space. And we've seen it now 6 times today.
Mike, I don't know what to say at this point about Alex Marinier. First of all, the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays cannot keep giving him this much space. I know he's pulling that double team down, but you have to recognize, if you're Johns Hopkins, who you're leaving to go double team the ball with, and you're letting Alex Marinier, who has 5 goals and now 6 goals, step in, not from 10, but then crow hop towards Jack Webb from 8 yards with a strong hand. It just can't happen, but credit to him. His shooting stroke today has just been off the charts.
Yeah, that's a bad combination with your third-string goalkeeper for Johns Hopkins and the leading goal scorer for Ohio State. He now has 40 goals on the season. First shot of this quarter by Ohio State, and they can it. And they're now back up by 5, so it's 13-8. And you had talked about, you used the word deflating a little bit earlier. I think that's kind of back in the situation right now if you're the Blue Jays after that valiant comeback, really, to start the third quarter.
Well, you just look at the shot that Hunter Chavette took, and you hate to compare the shooters because they're completely different, but Chavette is the gunslinger, the higher gunslinger, lefty. It's Collison, but Chavette leads them in terms of goals on this side, lefty, and then you have Marinier on this side.
And you also have this with Gannon Matthews for Ohio State, as they now have their largest lead of the day at 6, 14-8.
And it's starting to feel like momentum has just completely shifted away from the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. McKenna with a strong up the hash take again with his head up this time. Finding Gannon Matthews on the backside. He settles in. Just a smooth, fundamental overhand stroke and just buries that ball past Jack Webb.
2 goals in 45 seconds for Ohio State. They have 4 in a row here. They're working on a 4-in-a-row streak. They did it once earlier today to close out the first half. It was Marinier that had 3 in that stretch with Ben Mayer, and now it's Haas with 2, Marinier, and Gannon Matthews. And Ohio State has the possession with a 6-goal lead. Fans, if you're tuning in for Florida-Arkansas softball, that will begin at the top of the hour on ESPN News. Florida-Arkansas softball, top of the hour, ESPN News.
And Mike, this doesn't show up in the stat book, but Caleb does such a good job of just grabbing the ball out of the air. That if you shoot the ball on him and he's able to just snag it, to me, that's a turnover. And the last possession the Hopkins Blue Jays had, Chavette did that. Turnover leads to the goal down here at a Marinier.
Yeah.
Then we have the Gannon Matthews goal, and now they have the ball back. So, again, those unforced turnovers, so to speak, in quotation marks, is a stick work, but it's also just giving FIOC easy opportunities to get saves.
Well, and also loose balls, too, and ground balls that he picks up very cleanly and easily, too. I know that's your job, too, as a goalie, right, to get those, but, like, it's not always easy sometimes. He makes it look easy, and he's not rushed with it. And, you know, he has over 30 ground ball pickup on the season, has made those plays, like you said, in midair. Starting breaks of transition, that's happened a couple of times today. Right from him on the save to a goal on the ensuing possession where it could have been a 2-goal swing. You know, that's a 2-goal swing right there. And that's sometimes the difference, as it's now a 6-goal lead with 9 minutes to go in the game. Eiler. Stops behind the net, trying to feed it to Chavette. There was a streak of 14 minutes without a goal earlier today for Johns Hopkins, and they're in the middle of another one here. Scoreless in the last 14 minutes plus.
They've done this a couple times over the course today, Johns Hopkins offensively, where they just kind of back out and allow Ohio State's defense to get set up, and then they just look for the home run. I want to see them a little bit more consistently try to put Ohio State on their heels.
Behind the back, Chavette doesn't go.
By just pressing them. Don't just wait for them to get comfortable and let everyone know what you're going to do.
Eiler, shot clock violation. Ohio State, Blake Island gets it over, and now the Buckeyes. No hurry here at this point with a 14-8 lead. But it's a team that's been able to put up numbers. So you combine that with the stellar defense that you've seen from them this year. This is their 12th game of the season. They've scored at least 13 or more goals in 10 of those 12 games. The other two, they scored 7 and they scored 10.
And what makes them so difficult to guard is they just have so many weapons on the offensive side of the ball. It doesn't feel like you can just scout them. Yeah, obviously, Marinier, he leads them with goals, but he's really an off-ball guy. So as much as you want to try to scout, if they're drawing slides, which they do all over the field, he's going to find his goals no matter what. But then you look across the board, and they got guys like Gannon Matthews, Jack McKenna, Garrett Haas, all just different players who are so dangerous in different ways.
They do, and to your point earlier, as this shot goes off the post this time for Ohio State's Ed Sheehan, you just can't leave him wide open. And that's happened a couple of times today, whether that's a miscommunication or they didn't slide to get over in time, but he's had a couple of times where he's caught it and literally, like you said, has been able to step in and rip one. 2 or 3 times at least out of the 6 goals that he's gotten today.
You see Ed Sheehan here, number 10 in red, setting up, and you see that pre-slide out of number 18 in the white right there.
There it comes.
In order to beat that, you have to know that slide's coming and be able to get the ball in and out of your stick faster to the backside, then they can rotate behind that.
What's going through your mind? You're thinking ahead, right? You're thinking, where am I going next with this as soon as I see this, right?
If I'm Ed Sheehan, I see Scott Smith, number 18 in white. He's going to come to me.
Yep.
And then off ball, adjacent, I know that they're going to have to rotate to me, so I'm going to put myself in a position to catch that ball, get it in out of my stick to the backside, or potentially for a redodge or someone on the pipe to score it.
Since the last goal, which has been over 16 minutes for Johns Hopkins, they're 0 for 6 shooting with 4 turnovers. They want to change that here. And the shot, it sails over the top that time from Bauer. It'll be backed up by Collison.
And for my non-lacrosse nerds out there, Mike, with what I'm talking about, it's just the way that Johns Hopkins plays defense. In that situation, it was shorty on shorty. they're going to pre-slide. It means they have a guy ready to go. You watch Ohio State, they're not pre-sliding. You have to earn the slides against them, but they're very tough when they do slide to you. So you have to make sure you're prepared for that. Otherwise, the ball is going to be on the floor. Let
me ask this in terms of defensively and sliding coming in. You know, you have your game plan, you have your knowns. Traditionally, and here comes a flag as Fayok goes down again, and Rawson was working in. You have your knowns. It's not a team, correct me if I'm wrong, that's coming in that is going to slide on great players, or are they going to wait and see what develops in the game to say, okay, now we got to start to put a little bit more effort on this particular player?
It's definitely going to develop over the course of the game, and it sometimes goes play by play, depending on not just the player with the ball in his stick, but the time at that point in the game. And what's most important is being connected. Watch this take here. Strong take, but notice Ohio State, right? When they slide, they're going to make you pay for it.
Well, that was a push in the back there with possession by Griffin Liedl, and he is out.
But the word that comes to mind for this Ohio State defense is just connected.
Yeah.
They're tough, they're connected, they're led by Fayok in the cage, but you just feel a sense of brotherhood. And Myers talked about it, but you're seeing it in real time happen here today.
They called it a hold of 30 seconds, so extra man opportunity here for Hopkins. We haven't had many today. Fayok on the save. And I see you shaking your head, Jules, because you know he's going to see that one the whole way, right, from Chavette?
That's the exact shot that we saw out of Chavette earlier in the quarter, where we know he can shoot that low to high, that mid-hip release that he does. It's an okay shot when he has momentum. He's got his legs underneath him. It just feels like that's going 70, 80 miles an hour, and Fayok's seen that all day long.
Liam White has it for Ohio State. They try to wind down another 4 minutes of game time on their way to, they hope, their 11th win of the season. We'll go to 3-0 in the Big Ten.
You notice here, Johns Hopkins pulled Jack Webb out of the cage, giving them the opportunity to double the ball, but putting the Hopkins defense at risk of an open net.
Well, good defensive play. Knock it out. The Buckeyes on the end line, and it's going to be Blue Jays possession with 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go.
Happy birthday, Soup!
Check. Over to Jimmy Ayers. Liam Burke is in. 19 and White, he has it. Burke being hounded, going down. Oh, the pickup, the shot, and the score for Eric Check. They'll take it. Out and on the homecoming for Johns Hopkins. Faceoffs 18-9 in favor of the Blue Jays, but scoreboard 5 in front for Ohio State. Rawson. Over to Bauer. Each team still has 2 timeouts remaining here, but only 2:35 left in the contest. On the feed, and the Chavette trying to get it to Rawson. It's going to be tracked down by English.
So over the course of this possession right now, we haven't really seen Collison attack his matchup from that top left corner where the big sign is. I would have loved to see him catch the ball as Rawson.
Well, Bauer gets it in front for Rawson, who does score it here with 2:02 to go.
Might just be a little bit too late at this point. Rawson catches that ball on the inside, showcasing his stick handling ability. off the tremendous feed from Dylan Bauer, just finding him there, that little twister. I like that, but as I was mentioning before, if Collison is in the game, we have to see him assert himself. And I think that's really been the difference today for the Hopkins Blue Jays, is just not getting enough out of Collison and not getting enough out of their older players. Obviously, Melendez is not playing today, but the Ohio State Buckeyes, they get so many different guys all over the field. And Hopkins just doesn't have that, so you need your big guns to step up.
Collison today has 2 assists, no goals, had an assist earlier in the first quarter, and then had 1 in the third. It was a really good job by this Blue Jays team to start the third quarter. They scored 3 of the first 4 goals. Here's Fyock once again, talking about a good job. He has 15 saves in this game today. If you're tuning in for Florida-Arkansas softball, that is going to start on ESPN News. Florida-Arkansas softball beginning right now on ESPN News. And we'll get you to that as soon as we are done here with this one. Just a minute, 20 seconds left. Timeout is taken. Gives us a moment to thank our great camera crew here today from Baltimore. Steve Baldwin with Lamont Williams, Jed Hartnett, Dan Mayhew, Mino Dargakis. Thank you guys. Great job today as always. Good to see you here in Homewood. And a penalty, not a timeout. Man up for Ohio State.
It's a hold on number 19, Liam Burke, with Johns Hopkins Blue Jays on Dante Bowen.
And now we got a timeout. All right, so the Blue Jays, more than likely here, going to drop to 6-5, 0-3 in the Big Ten. If you're Ohio State, after falling to Utah by 6 in the opener, they're on their way to winning 11 in a row. Going to go to 11-1 and 3-0 in the conference. Let's talk about upcoming schedule here first for Johns Hopkins.
Blue Jays at Penn State and then at Maryland in their next 2 games. So this is a home game, homecoming weekend. This is honestly as easy as it gets from just an environment standpoint and just easiness of the games. But then you have to go on the road to Penn State and Maryland. It just gets that much harder to secure wins like that.
It is a little crazy the way the schedule has fallen, right? That this is their final home game of the season, you know, here on April 5th, right? I mean, this is the lacrosse month, right? April, I mean, obviously in May as well, but I mean, here you are, you're done. You're done at home now on April 5th. It's crazy. Ohio State on the other side, you can look at their final games of the regular season. They've got Maryland and Michigan. Maryland at home, Michigan on the road.
And you're getting to that point in the season where you're going to think about RPI and you're going to think about tournament play, getting into your tournament, having a chance to win it, and then RPI. Ohio State, if they can just secure one of these wins, to me, they're absolutely getting an at-large bid from the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And it's starting to look like it's going to be Ohio State, and then it's going to be Maryland, and then we'll see what shakes out in terms of who actually wins the conference.
Copy that. Best start since 1976 for Ohio State, when they went 14-1 under head coach Jerry Bell. They were the Midwest Lacrosse Association champions that year. Thank you, Russ DeLin, on stats. Good work, my friend. Now, this Buckeyes team has a little bit of everything, right? The offensive firepower, multiple different players that can hurt you. Today it was Marinier that had 6 goals. Garrett Haas had 3. And then defensively, it's hard to stop Caleb Fyock. Another stellar day today. Did give up the 10 goals, though, for Johns Hopkins. That's only the 2nd time this season he's given up double-digit goals. But he also had 15 saves as well. And it's not a team that's just all about defense, right? I mean, you got both. And it's going to be a tough team to stop come postseason play. Timeout here taken by the Blue Jays. But that's 2 games in a row, though, for Fayok. We can pick apart anything that he's given up 10 goals in the Rutgers game, in the last game when they won 13-11, and he's given up 10 today, but they're going to go on to win this one as well.
That's just fine to me.
Yeah.
Homecoming weekend for Johns Hopkins. The way the offense is playing, he can afford to just give up 10.
And look at this in terms of the saves in Big Ten play. Yes, incredible. 19 career high in the last game. Penn State 17, 15 today. And his family in the house as well. Showed him earlier, his dad Rob and his mom Jessica, sister Addison, his grandmother Marcia was here as he grew up in Bowie, Maryland, 30 miles down the road. The homecoming for him today as a sophomore at Ohio State. As they look to have a really special season. They're going to go to 11-1 and 3-0 in the conference. And, you know, it's just a fun guy to talk to, too. Like you said, his Instagram, over 10,000 followers, and just has a lot of energy, great personality. It's been that way since, you know, we've known him in high school.
You can just see it the way he plays on the field and just his bravado out there. He's just having fun. He's loose, he's relaxed, but then he's also serious, and he locks in as a sophomore. For him to be able to command the defense the way that he does, it's really special.
Yep. Coach Myers, his 17th season at Ohio State. They're going to go off to an 11-1 start here. 3-0 in the Big Ten with 2 games remaining in the regular season. And they get it done on the road in Baltimore. And Johns Hopkins homecoming, and the Buckeyes win it 14-10.
Tremendous display of offense by the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Alex Marion.